The number of bears in the Central Forest Reserve in Russia is higher than anywhere else which lies between the Atlantic and the Urals. There's approximately 1 bear per 1,000 hectares of land. For centuries, impassable marshes and dense thickets have protected these forests and their inhabitants from human intervention. This is what has preserved the conifer forest, which is 360 kilometers west of Moscow in the Tver region. In 1931, the Central Forest Reserve was founded here. There's a small village hidden in a remote part of the reserve, far from major roads. Around 20 years ago, a family of biologists settled here. Currently, the spot is referred to as the Чистый лес, or the Clean Forest Biostation. This is the only center in Europe which takes care of orphaned bear cubs. Every morning, Sergei Pagetnov and his son Vasily go out to feed the cubs. The only way bears recognize humans is by their smell. That's why the pair always wear the same clothes when feeding the animals and never use aftershave before feeding them. The entire process of feeding the cubs with porridge takes no more than 30 seconds. Sergei and his son scatter the food and quickly retreat. This is how they teach the cubs to become accustomed to finding their own food, because once they are 7 months old, they will be left to their own devices. Valentin Pagetnov is an ecologist and the founder of the Biostation. He and his family have lived in the woods for almost 20 years. The biologists raise orphaned bear cubs, keep scientific records, and then release them into the wild. Over the years, Professor Pagetnov has been able to study bears thoroughly. This is why he has a fence around his small apiary.
Recently, 2 young bears came here and completely destroyed 2 beehives. They ate all of the honey. They opened the hives, took the frames out and ate all of the honey, along with the bees.
This winter, the scientist will have to do without honey. But Valentin knows that once a bear gets a taste for something, it will continue to search for it relentlessly. Persistence is typical of bears. Valentin's observations and stories will all be included in his book about living at the biostation and working with bears. The main message is, if the people realize how much a bear cub and a child have in common, maybe they would stop killing bears in such a cruel and senseless manner.
Животный мир.
The animal world is organized in pretty much the same way as the human world. This is the case with highly organized species like apes, dolphins, bears, wolves. You can say their life is similar to ours.
The Pagetnov's house looks like a bear museum. Most of the gifts that visitors like to give to the biologists are based on bears. They are everywhere. Ceramic bears, stone bears, iron bears, wooden bears and even glass bears.
This bear here comes from India. It's malachite. And this little bear, he is from Japan. It even looks Japanese. This bear is from Switzerland. Friends gave it to me when I visited a university there. My collection even has a bear from Australia. You see, the koala is not a variety of bear. By the way, Australia and Antarctica are the only 2 continents where there are no bears.
January is the most difficult and worrisome month for the family of biologists. When hunters try to kill a bear in its lair, it's often the mother who is killed. People bring cubs from all over Russia to the bear orphanage. It looks like a real orphanage. First, people feed the cubs with milk, keep a record of their weight, and give them a bath, which is necessary because the cubs behave just like children. They often get dirty. In their natural environment, their mother takes care of them by licking the dirt off, but here taking a bath is the only option. Then they need to learn to find food for themselves. The cubs develop very quickly between the age of 2 and 3 months. Once they have grown a little, they learn to walk. When the spring comes and the cubs are 3 months old, they are moved into an open-air fold. They are much stronger by now, but still, they don't dare to leave the home they have grown accustomed to. They are afraid of venturing out into the wild and to start living in the woods on their own. By this time, people have stopped feeding the cubs.
These are the bear's dishes. They're all washed and clean. The cubs have grown, so they no longer need them. Now they're going to find food on their own, and the dishes will be put away until next year, until February.
Valentin's wife Svetlana is also a biologist. To her, all of the cubs raised at the biostation are like family members.
We get used to them. Some of them are my favorites, while others are naughty. But the main thing is that we can release them. Finally, they will have a home, because what we gave them was just a temporary shelter, to let them grow a little stronger. As scientists, we realize they'll be better off on their own. So, of course, we don't think of them as our property.
Svetlana is busy all day long. She has lots of things to do. Svetlana tends the garden, feeds the chickens, and helps to take care of the cubs. During the 17 years that the biostation has existed, the scientists' family have managed to raise 130 bear cubs. All of them were returned to the wild. This year, the Pazhetnovs are taking care of 13 orphans. After they have been through a period of rehabilitation, they leave the Clean Forest Biostation and go back to various parts of Russia.
A mother bear raises her cubs for 18 months, after which they are no longer a family. That's why this is the best time to let the orphans go. We make an ear tag for each bear. They have an address where the tag can be sent if the bear dies.
The only thing that the Pazhetnovs could rely on was their enthusiasm, until the International Fund for Animal Welfare began to support them. Fund representative Igor Belyatsky visits the biostation on a regular basis. He brings humanitarian aid for the babies. They need diapers and milk formulas just like babies do. In the evening, the entire family gathers around the table, along with visitors from Moscow. They talk about the coming day, when they are going to release the cubs back into the wild. They say that this year it's going to be a bit more difficult, as the cubs seem to be anxious for some reason.
This project is unique. There are similar projects in other countries, like Estonia, Canada and the United States, but Valentin Pazhetnov was first to do this on such a scale.
Several years ago, volunteers from various countries started coming to the woods of Tver. Igor Belyatsky brings not only supplies to the bear nursery, but also volunteers, many of whom are foreigners. Having stayed at the biostation once, some of them return, and bring their friends and colleagues with them. The number of people who want to go there is more than the station can accommodate. Volunteers are given various assignments related to maintaining the station. If they are lucky, they will see a bear. The Pazhetnovs have plenty of things for the volunteers to do.
Yes, but I think he's given that to Sergei.
Language isn't an issue. They understand each other quite well. Daniel comes from England. Back home, in a small town, he's an environmental activist. But of course there are no bears there. Daniel never imagined that he would spend a summer in the midst of the Russian woods, fixing a fence around a fold for bear cubs. Daniel has learned a lot about these forest giants. For example, the little-known fact that bears have a language of smell. A bear's smell depends on what they want to say or show to the other bears.
I wanted to do something. I had some time off. I had 3 months off work. I wanted to do something useful, and this is Russia. Not everybody gets to come to Russia, and not everybody gets to feed and look after brown bears. So that's why I came here. How did I find it? It was on a website called Eco Volunteers. So there's lots of other things on there, but this is the place I picked.
There are many things which seem strange to Daniel, but he's proud of himself. He's not only learned to live in the wild, but also made some new friends. He has enough time to take the dog for a walk. Next year, Daniel wants to come back with some friends. By September, it's time to let the cubs go into the woods. As they look for something to eat, they go deeper and deeper into the forest. Gradually, they get used to living on their own. By the time winter is over, the bears have forgotten about the people who nurse them and will fully adapt to living as wild animals.